Oh, I love it when they give me a little bit of football. We got Neek back, my boy Graz, and Mike T. And it's time to talk about these dudes that could get that bag with a little game of pay or delay. We're going to start with our resident GM, Mike T. Should they pay or delay Tua Tagovailoa?
RC, you got to pay him. He's produced at such a high level. Now, with that said, sure, you want some protection on the guarantees because durability has been an issue. But to his credit, he did play all season last year. But when we're looking at Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, that $55 million average per year seems to be the range for him.
Graz, do you agree?
No, I would wait on Tua because I don't think the number is what matters, right? Like, Trevor Lawrence's deal has guaranteed money in the year 2027. How can you, after one healthy season, look at Tua Tagovailoa and think about a deal like that? I think there has to be some sort of creative solution, and I think Mike T alluded to it, right? The injury protection. But if the player's not going to agree to that, then I don't know that you can cave if you're the Dolphins.
Neek, CeeDee Lamb went ham last year. Pay or delay if you're the Dallas Cowboys?
Pay or delay?
Oh, you know what I'm going to say. Pay that man. That man's balling. He's a true number one. He's an impact player on your offense. He deserved to make millions upon millions so he can buy him a satin purple coat just like Mike T got on out there. Get that Mike T money so he can be looking fly. What color is that? Grimace? I love it.
That's the first and last time I'll ever be compared to CeeDee Lamb with anything. But anyway, I do agree, and here's why substantively, guys. Like, we talk about Dallas all the time, but they were number one in points scored. So, look, Dak Prescott, we've talked about him, but CeeDee Lamb is an unbelievable route runner, and I think his physicality is somewhat taken for granted given his size. So, to me, he is a frontline difference maker, number
Crazy
one.
Corvette, are you kidding me?
He's high character, he's adorable, he's productive. You pay those players.
It's definitely lilac, but it's more the material that got Mike T over here shining. Right, somebody has to throw CeeDee Lamb the ball, and that's been Dak Prescott. Should they pay Dak right now?
Yes, I mean, they should pay him yesterday, but the issue is not do the Cowboys want to pay him? They do. It's Dak Prescott can wait for exactly the deal he wants. Like, the way he has built his contract, the way he and his agent built the contract, they can't franchise him, right? Like, he has a no-trade clause. Like, he has all the control here. So the Cowboys can make whatever effort they want to pay him. It's up to him whether he says yes or not. They have tried. They have talked. At this point, he's the one with the leverage. He's the one who can afford to wait. I don't think they can.
Well, listen, if Dak shows up, he needs to show up with his Louis bags like Deion went with to Colorado.
Louis bags?
Because they're going to have to back the Brinks truck up, whether they pay him now or they pay him after the season. But Shefty talked a little bit about Dak's underrated value on the market. Take a listen.
Let's take a listen real quick.
When do we ever see a quarterback that good ever become a true unrestricted free agent? You could just imagine the places that Dak Prescott could and would fit in. What if it doesn't work out with Daniel Jones in New York? What if
don't go there.
The Derek Carr experiment doesn't go the way the Saints want?
That's where you'd like to go.
Saints want to bring Dak Prescott back home to Louisiana. What if Aaron Rodgers retires after this year? What if the Raiders don't fill their quarterback need? What would the market be like for him? To me, he's in line to become the first $60+ million quarterback a year.
Well, it's a good time to be Dak Prescott's agent because if they tell you they can't pay him, just pull this up. He almost has identical numbers to Patrick Mahomes. And no, we're not saying they're the same because in that time, Mahomes got 2 chips and another MVP. But when it comes down to negotiations, here are the numbers that you can use that say Dak does deserve to get 60 M's a year.
What's up, good people and Eagle fans? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Up. Everybody is having a great day. Crazy Corvette, you must have been like out to lunch or something here because you said there's nothing going on with the Cowboys. Are you kidding me? All hell is breaking loose. But before all hell breaks loose, we got to say hello.
I'm burning for you.
To lovely Lola, and then there's lovely Linda here, one of the greatest Eagle fans. Now, let's be clear here, Linda. There are not a lot of great Eagle fans that come in here, but you are the greatest one. I appreciate you. Philly D in the house. I see Eastside Herald's been hanging here, looking for some toaster leavings or something or other. Alan Williams in the house. Jeffrey, how are you doing? Gentleman of Culture, what's going on? Sky High 22. Hope everybody's having a great day and a great week. It's kind of a sad week. A sad and happy week, I guess, at the same time. We got word that Randy Seitz is going to be going back home tomorrow after having the car accident 2 months ago and being very, very fortunate to still be alive. And he's got a long ways to go, but he's doing a lot better. We found out last week that we lost Eric Weir. Gina Dallas Diva, what's up? Shout out to one of my Cowboys Mafia. We found out Eric Weir, who helped us at Stuart Morrison's house, had passed away this past week. And, of course, it was Stuart Morrison's birthday yesterday as well. So it's coming up on the 2-year anniversary of our trip. Shout out to Game Time Brian, and as well as Damn Gina and Michael and my wife and everybody who went down there, including Randy Seitz and his son, Corey, to help us fulfill a dying wish of a great fan. So in case you guys have been under a rock, we've got a little bit of shit happening here. Malik Hooker was on with Keyshawn Johnson on his podcast. Now if you get fired from ESPN, then you automatically start a podcast. And, it's kind of like funny that everybody is on YouTube now when they used to denigrate us all on YouTube. He was on there, and he kind of threw some shade on Micah Parsons. And when you hear the clip, without hearing it all in its entirety, you kind of are like, well, damn. But before we go to that, we have to also go back to Micah Parsons during the Super Bowl when, we were dealing with, D-Law saying that, maybe they were tired and things. And Micah Parsons kind of threw the whole defense under the bus about stopping the run and jumping off, lining up off sides and holding penalties. He kind of put it out there that, don't look at me, man. Look at some of these other guys that aren't doing their job. But this is what the clip that went around, this 20-second clip. So if you hear just that, it's like, wait a minute, damn. So, and I'm trying to tell you guys to make sure you get the full picture of everything that goes on, because when I listened to, because I heard that clip first, I thought I had it over here. Oh, no, I have it over here. Let me play. Do I have it? Yeah, okay, here we go. Let me play it, because this will kind of give you a little bit more to it, because this is the whole kit and caboodle, the whole 3 minutes of the conversation about Micah. And Micah didn't like it too much. I know what you're saying, that this is a non-story move on. You would think that it isn't, but here's the thing that gets to be, hey, Philly D, look, you and your ego, listen, this is Cowboys content here. If you don't like what I'm serving here at Joe Boo's restaurant, then go eat someplace else. Go get a Philly cheesesteak, okay? But this actually, when you hear what Micah Parsons had to say, where he tweeted this out here. Now, keep in mind, Micah Parsons threw people under the bus a couple of months ago in social media. Those who live in glass houses shouldn't cast the first stone. And shout out to Walker Wade. He is our first super chat of the night. We've gotten all of our super chats from this week up in here, and we're going to be giving away Drew Pearson autograph plaque that I have behind me. Okay, so here's the thing. Micah Parsons tweeted this with exclamation points. Just wish you said this to me, but instead on some podcast, exclamation point. And you got my number, family, exclamation point. Malik Hooker and you, my locker mate, exclamation point. So you could have said this any day, exclamation point. And you do realize I shout shoot the podcast on our off day, exclamation point. Why ain't we talking about everyone's preparation and focus leading up to the game week, question mark, explanation point. I mean, I can point out a lot of other things, but I'm just not. That was posted on Twitter and then removed. I'm going to say that okay, and I'm going to sound like a politician here, but I'm going to say both of them are right. Malik is saying, testy mark? Oh, yeah, no, it's nothing worse than to have some Eagles fans coming here saying it's a non-story move on when we're dealing with Cowboy family stuff, okay? I'm just telling you, okay, that we definitely have a problem because Micah Parsons threw D-Law under the bus a couple of months ago. If you're not looking and putting this together, he ended up throwing one of the cornerbacks, I can't remember if it was Deron Bland, who had a holding call in that Green Bay game. Because we are specifically, as you're saying, Big Spank Dog, you should have said something during the Green Bay game. Well, after that game, he pointed out that first drive that D-Law lined up offside, that Deron Bland had a holding in the secondary, and they went down the field and scored on him. So Micah Parsons put it out there first, and you're kind of getting another teammate that's kind of pushing back. Now, I'm sorry, Eagle fans, if you don't view it as a big deal. You know, I can talk about the problems you guys are having with Kellen Moore and a 95% new offense for a poor quarterback who's in his fourth system in 4 years, who literally is not as good as they think he is or y'all proclaim him to be, and that he's going to get screwed up this season with Kellen Moore and his offense, because Kellen Moore is still wet behind the ears. Kellen Moore is not ready to be I'm going to change up my system to fit Jalen Hurts. He got one system. And he's going to try and teach Jalen Hurts that one. And it's going to hurt you guys big time. But is that better? Is that what you Eagle fans are looking for right now? Is that what you're looking for? You know, this is NFL silly season. There ain't a whole lot of shit going on. So let me at least enjoy having this little bit of, you know, a chick fight, you know, claws are out and everything else, okay? Funny that he's saying that with Dak as his quarterback. Spilled milk, who the hell are you? I have never heard of spilled milk. Who the hell is spilled milk? Somebody clean that shit up. I don't want no spilled milk. Shit, who spilled the milk? I love weed. What's up, I love weed? How are you doing? Good Lord, I was saying no big deal. Well, I don't know. I don't know, because I start hearing these things and I start thinking, is this part of the problem here? That we got players that don't like each other and, you know, everybody's pointing fingers and not taking care of their business. Now, for the the Commander fan, I'm trying to understand how Commander fans feel that they have the need and the ability to come out and talk about anybody with their sorry ass team. I'm trying to understand that from you Commanders fans, huh? Here's another little piece that actually gives me some hope. Okay? Nah, my milk stays spilled. Brad Harris, what's up? Dwayne Sweeney, how are you doing? Marcus Blackman in the house. Hooker's a clown to run his mouth like that about Micah. I don't know, but you know what? At some point, you start looking and saying, Micah, are you a football player or are you a podcaster? Sometimes it kind of rubs me the wrong. He does do some good and things. Okay, the stuff they did in Japan was great, and all that stuff, and it's fun to watch and all that. But are we really focused in on being the best football player we can? Now we got all kinds of issues. I'm not trying to say Micah Parsons, the guy who's gotten 12 plus sacks every year of his career. Marcus, everything's good, buddy. Roland's Review. What's up, Stacey? How are you doing? I'm not trying to say that the guy who's gotten 12 plus sacks every year that he's been in the NFL is the reason why we're not winning Super Bowls. But if everybody can get an extra 5% more, you might have enough to get over the hump. Now, this is actually a bigger key from this. Where he talks about the difference between Dan Quinn. He loved Dan Quinn. He's still friendly with Dan Quinn. And the reason why he's in Dallas is because of Dan Quinn. But there's a big difference between the two. So let's listen. Okay. So he believes that they're going to be a better defense. Now, Big Spank Dog. You know what? You Commander fans, I don't know how you think that you get any credibility with some bullshit like this.
My home team, my loyalty, I'm at Uptown Royalty. We fight for all DC, who are we? I speak facts, I'm not making riddles. The Hawks open big old holes.
Seriously, Commander fans, listen, Commander fan, Big Spank Dog. Grown folks are talking here, okay? Grown folks. Now, you go on over to the kitty table. You go on over to the kitty table right now, okay? We'll let you know. This is Thanksgiving here. We got the kitty table for all the kids over there. We got the grown folks over here talking, okay? Get back to me when you guys have a winning record, okay? Damn. I will take some shit for some Eagle fans because at least they're decent. At least they're decent. You Commander fans, come on, man. Y'all's a joke. Now get away. Get away. I love it. You know what's crazy about you Commander fans is they talk about us being delusional. You guys, every time you get a new quarterback, oh my God, man, you had RG3, thought, oh my God, we're set for the next 10 years. And it was good for 1 year. You had Kirk Cousins, who was actually a decent quarterback, and you probably would have been better off having paid Kirk Cousins when you think about all the stiffs and all the draft picks that you guys spent on quarterbacks. You literally would have been better keeping Kirk Cousins because you could take all of the touchdown passes of all the bums that you've had since Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got like 30 more than all your other guys have to combine. So sit down, shut up, and we'll call you when we need you. And we ain't going to need you. At least we don't cry when we lose. Yeah, because you always lose. It's not like it's, not expected. You always lose. So it's like we're used to it. Lordy. Jerry Jones culture screwed this franchise up. Damn, Jimmy Johnson would have put up with this. No, probably not. Because this is what Jerry Jones has created. You got Micah Parsons, who's now not just a client of Bleacher Report. He's the player president. Okay? He's huge. And so he's got all kinds of distractions. And here's the thing. I'm not going to disagree what Malik Hooker said. I would rather somebody get on my back and say, hey, just make sure you're focusing on the game because the ultimate goal, Mark, Redskins got way more of a respectable history than the Eagles. Way, at least more. Yeah, you're right about that, Walker Wade. That is so true. In fact, I think they've been to 5 Super Bowls as well, and won 3. Eagles, you've been to 4 and won 1. I will say, Eagle fans, oh, Walker. Oh, okay. Eagle fans, I know how you guys, before 2017, you were holding on to world championships, bro. You were holding on to world championships. And I tell you what, Eagle fans, how about this? Let's make a thing right here, right now, okay? Right here, right now. Casey Stewart in the house. What's up, Casey? How are you doing tonight? Another one of the lovely ladies in the place in style and grace. Game Time Brian, my main man, Game Time Brian, out there getting the mail delivered out in the heat. Shout out to the mailman as well as all of the mailmen out there because he is growing, taking care of business, and sticking it to the Eagles every chance he can. Eagle fans, I tell you what. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. These are the 5, right? All right, we can hear. And don't mean a thing if you ain't got those rings. Okay. Here's what I'm willing to do. And here's Eagles. Okay? I won't talk about the Cowboys' dusty old rings as you guys put it. If you guys don't talk about your one anymore. Because how long ago was that? What was that? 6 years ago? How long ago was that? 2017? 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, if you're saying that 7 years is relevant but 30 isn't, okay, I hear what you're saying. How about this? We deal with right now this season 0-0, 0-0. That's where we are. If we can't talk about our 5 rings and you can't talk about your one, how about we do that? Because I look at you guys who, we see the Cowboys, we're dysfunctional. We got, the penny pincher. Here's Stephen Jones in free agency, okay? Right? Here's Stephen Jones. Let's see. 1 penny, 2 penny. Let me see. I don't know. Let's see. I got a dime. I got a quarter. Wait. Hold up. Let me see. I got another penny, another quarter. How much for a linebacker? How much for a linebacker? I got 62 cents. Would that get me a linebacker? Okay. How about one with a damaged neck? Oh, no, won't work. Okay. How about one with a torn ACL? Yeah, you got a deal. We got that guy. Mr. Penny Pincher. That guy, and you say, okay, all right, I got a discount for you. Okay. You got change for 100? That's my man right there, okay? That's Stephen Jones. They're literally the Jets and Eagles uniforms. Walker Wade, shout out to Walker Wade. Walker Wade's trying to win Drew Pearson tonight because he is doing it. Shout out to Walker Wade. So we won't talk about our rings if you don't talk about your one ring. How about that? Is that doable? Is that doable? Talk to me, Eagle fans. Now, I do have some breaking news, maybe, after calling him chicken. Philly 500 is trying to get to training camp. For those out there who don't know, I've already talked to my man Law Nation. Law Nation is going to be there like the 27th through like the 9th. So we're going to have crossover. So we're going to be doing some stuff with Law Nation. We're going to be having Dan Salio is going to be there. We're working on some great interviews. We may even have Philly 500 showing up at Cowboys camp. Now, we can't hurt him. We can't jump him. We got to keep him around and try and entice him to come to AT&T for the Cowboys-Eagles game. But he's actually trying to work on it. So I guess I shouldn't be calling him Chicken at the moment. Okay. Wedge Buster Mark. Kid Cowboy. Oh, Lordy. So here come the haters. Here come the haters right now. Okay. Kid Cowboy. Law Nation. You know, Kid Cowboy. Is there anything that you like, Kid Cowboy? You man, you know what you remind me of? And you're probably too young because, see, I used to watch cartoons growing up because that's all we had. But there was a guy called Slep Rock. And he was like a bad luck. Always had like a dark cloud following him. He always had dark clothes and everything. And it was always, oh, woe is me. Oh, everything is so... That's you, man. You Slep Rock. Always just so negative. Everything. Seriously. You know I'll be there. The bird section. Oh. Boom. We got Leo. And Leo, my apologies, Leo, because I'm supposed to be getting back with you. So we can go ahead and just go one-on-one. Just rumble, you and me. We can go back and forth because I know you get long-winded. You definitely get long-winded, but it's okay. It's okay. 30 years. Kid Cowboy, 66 drunk Haterade. Bad luck, Slep Rock. The end. That ends this year, Marcus. Okay. You know, that reminds me of when you guys signed Albert Haynesworth. Oh, my God. We got a good defense now. We got Albert Haynesworth. We're going to be just great. Okay. How'd that work out for you guys? And it seems like player after player after player. We'll see. We'll see how Dan Quinn goes. You know, because you can say that Dan Quinn is, you know, knows the Cowboys, but the Cowboys also know Dan Quinn. So there's quite a bit there. So we'll see. Something else that's kind of interesting, and I don't know if you're like me, but I have the Sunday ticket. And I think I've had Sunday ticket now for 3 years, maybe 4. And so we were talking about this a little bit last week about the lawsuit. And so here's the thing. This thing's been going on since 2016, since before the Eagles won a Super Bowl. So, you know, it's been quite a while. Surprisingly, the judge had talked about throwing it out a couple months ago, ended up favoring the plaintiffs. And so the early settlement is $4.7 million, but they said it ends up being 3 times as much because of the delay in the amount of time it's taken to do the case. So it's actually like $14 million. I'm sorry, $billion, which equates to about $440 million per team. And we're talking about people being able to get refunds of possibly like $300 a year. And it brings up a lot of different questions on how is this going to work. And my first question is because the NFL is all about the money, okay? And the NFL, the salary cap is dictated by gross receipts. And so the players are 48% of that. If the NFL, and I don't know the answer to this one. I don't know. And I'm just asking this question because when you start talking about $450 million per team, by the time you say the player share, that's $210 million on the salary cap. And just like when COVID happened, the salary cap went backwards because they weren't bringing in as much money because of COVID. I can't see the NFL saying, don't worry, players, the salary cap won't get touched with us paying $450 million. I can guarantee the NFL is going to say to the players, you're part of this thing too, and that cut's coming from you guys as well. And so you have to wonder, now, again, it's years in the making, you have to wonder, is this got to be paid immediately? Are they going to have payment arrangements on? I mean, $450 million per team. Now, I'd love to get some more money back from the NFL because, I just finished paying $2.99 to YouTube TV. I ain't mad about YouTube TV. I love YouTube TV with the Sunday Ticket and getting all the games and stuff. Although, most people don't necessarily want to see, the Jets and Buffalo, on regular season, or, let's say Carolina and the Jets. Nobody wants to. Who wants to pay to see that? You just want to see your team. And it may end up being, that this ends up happening. The question I have is, because it's all going to go back to appeals and could eventually go into the Supreme Court, this is the big question. If you've already been called out on doing this and having to pay out a settlement, does the NFL say, oh, shit, we don't want to incur more into the settlement? So while this is going on, do they look and say, we need to get this thing right and reduce the rate before the final verdict? You follow what I'm saying there? Because if you're going through and we're, appealing, and you're still doing the same thing, that it's possible that damages goes on top of it. So you don't want to get in deeper. But listen to, this is Pat McAfee with Mike Farello trying to explain it. And they can explain it a lot better than I can because I'm just a guy with a day job.
I've been the guy who's been on top of this Sunday Ticket, DirecTV class action lawsuit against the NFL. What? And when he was on last time talking about it, I legitimately thought to myself, here's some Florio bullshit.
Yep.
Florio Pro Football Talk is just cooking up something that he can squeeze the Supreme Court mention into, which he's a lawyer. This is his thing. Yeah. The NFL really did it this time. Florio, ... at Pro Football Talk, NBC.com. And he goes, this could end up bang, 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 Supreme Court. And as we're reading it, we're like, this is a Florio. this is a Paul Skeens.
Oh, yeah. Bingo.
Right out of Florio. Comes on the show, starts explaining it. Then a couple days after he comes on the program and says, I don't know why anybody isn't talking about this. A couple media people started talking about it. And then the quote we heard from the judge was, this is all malarkey, basically. And then now, it's like a $14 billion settlement that is going to have to be paid from the NFL to millions of Sunday Ticket purchasers who can sign up to get a payment from being bamboozled, seemingly, in price from the NFL. Joining us now, Paisan, author, Pro Football Talk founder, NBC Sports football insider.
Yep.
Mike Florio.
Does this mean that next time you'll take me seriously?
We don't give a damn.
Does this mean I've built up a little equity? Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I know. You could sense me going, okay, Florio. And I'm assuming I wasn't the only one that was doing this because this is right down the Pro Football Talk blueprint here. Okay? The NFL messed up here. This is happening. It's real. Nobody's talking about it. Why isn't anybody talking about it? So as I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, this is just something to get through the offseason for Florio. And then literally yesterday, we got $14 billion in cash that is leaving the NFL and going to people that file a part of this class action lawsuit, which is still available now. How did we get here? I thought the judge said it was a bunch of bullshit. Where are we right now? And this is a massive ordeal, I feel like, Florio, not just a Pro Football Talk big deal, an actual big deal here, Mike.
Well, and the reason that I was banging the drum a few weeks ago, Pat, even if the NFL had won yesterday and it had been a goose egg for the plaintiffs, just the mere fact that the NFL was in that posture where it has to go to court and stand trial with what is essentially a flip of the coin with a jury verdict. Nobody ever knows what a jury is going to do. Nobody knows how a case is going to go out. The NFL rarely puts itself in a position where it has to watch while the coin is spinning in the air and waiting to see what happens. The mere fact that they had to do this was significant, far more significant than a lot of people in the media were regarding it as. And then, boom, yesterday, here comes the verdict. $4.696 billion under the antitrust laws. That gets multiplied by 3, $14.088 billion. They still could win. The judge could still set it aside and fine for the NFL. They could win on appeal. They'll take this all the way to the Supreme Court if they have to, because it's $14 billion. And if the plaintiffs lose at any step, they'll take it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, because we now have a number attached to this thing, and it is $14.088 billion.
It's
okay,
crazy.
how many people are plaintiffs in this case, and what is like a payout that they're expecting at this particular point? We saw Warren Sharp as a part.
Yep.
He gets his first, I saw.
Okay, Gumpy certainly feels a certain way about Warren Sharp, and that's why his angle was that answer right there. But Warren Sharp, I think, was a part
You
of it.
might be getting
How
some
many?
money from
It's
it.
2 million people now are involved in this entire thing, Florio?
There's two classes. Commercial establishments, bars that believe they had to pay more than they should have had to pay to make Sunday Ticket available to their customers, and then the residential class, where most of us would be. I'm in it for most of the 12 years that are covered. It goes from 2011 through early 2023. So if you were a customer of DirecTV Sunday Ticket during that window, you're in the class unless you opted out. And not many people are going to opt out. Why would you opt out? I'm going to go sue them myself, by myself? No. You stay in the class, and now we see what happens. And let's assume this 14 billion ends up being the final number. Big assumption that that'll be the final number. The judge will be responsible for deciding how it gets split up. The lawyers are going to get a big chunk as their contingency fee for taking on the risk and the expense and the time. They've been fighting this thing for 9 years. There was no guarantee they were ever going to get a penny for it. They're going to get a significant piece of it if the judge approves their contingent fee agreement. But even then, my rough math at this point would suggest that you're looking at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per person if you had it.
That's so much money.
For most of the time.
What do we get for the Ed O'Bannon? Like $500 or something?
That's it.
Yeah, Ed O'Bannon was like $500. I forget what
you
it
can buy
was.
the Midnight Blues with that amount of money.
Yeah, you get
3,000.
Hey, the NFL is going to be buying the Evening Patriots for a lot of people. That is a huge number. How long until this thing gets paid out? Because they don't pay until all the appeals are done. So this could still be a forever situation.
Yeah, they'll be back in court on the 31st of July for what will be a hearing on the NFL's request to throw the whole case out, the thing the judge threatened to do a few weeks ago that created a lot of attention because it's not often the judge in open court, not with the jury present, but still, that the judge chastises the lawyers for one side saying, your case is shit, and I'm thinking about throwing it out. That's kind of unconventional for that to happen, but he still could. He still could. And even if he does or he doesn't, the appeal process kicks in. It's called the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. It's a federal appeals court. Whoever loses has the right to get an appeal there. That's going to take some time. Then after that, you go to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's going to take some time. I'd say 2 or 3 years, roughly. And that might be minimum before this is all done.
Okay, which leads to this from Ty Schmidt.
Yeah, Florio, so let's say that they do end up having to pay this out. Will this fundamentally change any way that Sunday Ticket is actually sold in the future? Or will it be just like a slap on the wrist, hey, you guys have to pay this, and then you can go back to business as usual?
Or, Florio, does this, if it takes 2 or 3 years to get a verdict, do you think this changes Sunday Ticket in those next 2 to 3 years before a verdict or a final verdict comes in?
You guys are touching on the most important question right now.
Hey, way to go, boys.
Let's go, boys.
Way to go, boys.
Let's go, boys.
That's journalism.
This is where you might get immediate relief.
I was talking to Pat earlier. The Alston case, June 21 of 2021. Sean Alston, former West Virginia player. It was one of the many antitrust cases against the NCAA. The Supreme Court issued a ruling that basically convinced the NCAA, we better let these kids go out and sell their NIL rights because we're going to get screwed. We're going to get hammered. We are clearly in violation of the law by telling them they can't. So 10 days later, they did. Here's what the NFL has to decide. Okay, what do we do now? We've got this huge verdict. It's telling us probably not a good idea to have this jacked up price for Sunday Ticket because we're trying to help people be diverted towards CBS and Fox. They got to make a decision. Are they going to continue to let this model ride? Because they still have ongoing liability. 2023, the first season with YouTube TV, that's not part of this class. There's already a full season of Sunday Ticket that is sitting there waiting for a new class action. 24 if they don't change their ways. That doubles. Next year if they don't do it. You got 3 more years of potential exposure. They need to decide, are we going to change how we do this? We're going to let YouTube TV charge $70 for the full package like ESPN wanted to do? Are we going to let YouTube TV do a single team option? Are we just going to get rid of Sunday Ticket? And sprinkle the game?
Sunday Ticket. That is my big worry here. And I don't know if it was said in the court. I don't know if the NFL's lawyers were like, we're just going to bring some Sunday Ticket fans in here just to talk about it. It is awesome, especially on YouTube TV. It's been better. It's gotten better than ever. Wildly expensive, obviously. I mean, everything is. There's some UFC fights that are like $200, and you're paying for an ESPN Plus subscription on top of that.
Right.
And then there's other pay-per-views and
I'll leave it right there. So the thing is like Gina just said, you get a $5 check. Here's your money from the NFL. Okay, here you go. Here's your share. But that makes me wonder because see, here's where it was interesting was starting about 2 months ago. You started seeing YouTube TV advertising, early buy-in. Instead of it being the $3.99, it was going to be $2.99. You can start paying $75. My question is did they try to get as many people to buy into it ahead of time, knowing that this might be coming down the pipeline? Because, see, here's where the NFL does you kind of dirty. And I kind of look at and don't get me wrong, I'm going to watch football and I'm going to pay whatever I got to pay because, I'm a football whore. I'll do anything for football, okay? That's what we all are. We've all said we're not going to spend any money on the Cowboys, screw Jerry Jones. And here it is, I'm planning a trip of going out to training camp, in Oxnard, although the money will be going to the airline and going to the hotel. I won't buy any merchandise while I'm there. How about that? Yeah, there we go. Then that way I can keep to the letter of the law. But I will have to buy a new membership, though, won't I? So I can get close to the side. Oh, shit. Jerry's still going to get my money. Okay. But did they do that because they were trying to get ahead of it and start collecting all this money early? Because I remember 2 years ago when the NFL went from the NFL package, right? It was like $99 so you could see all the re-airs of all the games and the coaches' film and stuff. And it was $99 a year because I've had that for about 5 or 6 years, right? They changed it to NFL Plus and they dropped the price down to like $79, but they still charged me in August the $99. They didn't go ahead and retroactively give me a refund on the difference of it being only $79. I was like, wait a minute. Y'all charged me August 1st, $99. Now you come out with NFL Plus and it's $79 and you charged me $99. So will they do this and change? And that brings up the question now because you're getting $2 billion from YouTube TV for it. Does that number change? That now that if they have to change it to $75, and then if that means if that $2 billion is reduced to, $500 million, does that now change the salary cap? Because it all goes to gross receipts. And these are things that I haven't heard anybody talking about, but I have to believe that this is going to affect. So when we start thinking about this, you still go to games and training with got money with. You're right, Curtis. You're right. But if I go to the preseason game, it's in SoFi, so that's giving the Rams money. And I'm too cheap. I don't buy anything at the game. A $10 beer, and I'm not a beer drinker to begin with. And I'm not buying a hot dog for $10 either. Just don't do. I eat before the game, or I tailgate, or I'll eat after the game. I'm not going there to eat, so because I'm cheap. I'm like Stephen Jones. So that's kind of what's going on. Now, somebody was saying about Jordan Love, if he were playing in Dallas, he would be a superstar. But I've got to actually kind of take a little side on this because, see, this is what's kind of interesting. Eagle fans, you understand this because you've had this happen to you possibly twice now in the very recent history. You had Carson Wentz, who played on an MVP level until he got his knee busted. And he got paid and was never anywhere near that level again. You have Jalen Hurts, who his second year starting was an MVP candidate and looked incredible. But then you looked last year and said, not so much. And then when you start hearing about in OTAs where you got nobody breathing on you, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and he's complaining about the 90% new plays, and now you kind of figure out he might be trying to get out of there. It may be a case where maybe you paid him too soon. So now you got Jordan Love, and everybody is now on the Jordan Love is a stud. I will say Justin Herbert, his second year looked really, really good, And now people are going to say, well, he got injured. Well, injuries are a problem. If you can't play because you're injured, that's as bad as you sucking and playing. You're not helping the team win. And you can say, Joe Burrow, his second year was great. Now he's got a whole lot of injuries. What happens if Joe Burrow never gets back to his second year type performance, right? So my thing with Jordan Love is you look at the numbers, 4,100 yards, 31 TDs, 11 interceptions. That sounds great. But most of that was done in the second half of the season. And when you start knowing that they played the Bears twice, they played Minnesota twice, they played the Falcons, they played New Orleans, they played the Raiders, they played Denver, they played Minnesota twice, they played the Chargers, they played Pittsburgh, they played the Giants. This isn't exactly playing against San Francisco. Now, they did bring, now to their credit, they beat the Lions once and they lost to the Lions once. They did beat the Kansas City Chiefs and they did beat the Chargers. But beyond that, you're not exactly looking and saying they beat like a San Francisco. And so the first half of the year, he didn't look good. He looked average at best. He had about 8 games that he played lights out. And remember, he could never get out from under Aaron Rodgers. So do you look at this guy and say, oh, yeah, he's a superstar? I get it. When you have 316 yards, 2 TDs, and no interceptions, and 128 rating, that sounds great. But then you're playing the Bears the last game of the season that they know that their season's over. They've already got the golf clubs in the car. You follow what I'm saying? When you beat Minnesota the second week of the second to last week of the season, which doesn't have Kirk Cousins or anything, you got 258 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, and a 125 rating. Isn't this what Dak Prescott gets accused of, beating up on the bad teams? When you beat the Carolina Panthers 3 weeks by the end of the season, 33-30, and you have 219 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception, doesn't that kind of say these games kind of padded the numbers? Are you telling me that you should be paid because you beat those teams, but you lost to Tampa Bay, and you lost to the New York Giants? The Giants with Danny DeVito. See, nobody's questioning that. Guys, he started 1 season. We're hearing that he's looking for $60 million. Nobody else has any questions on that? Tua, he's looking for $60 million. Tua, 2 years ago, got knocked the F out 3 times in the season, and it looked like his career was in jeopardy. He had every weapon in the world, and they lost the same weekend we did. Zeke is done. Okay, well, maybe the change, there's ways of helping Zeke with the offense. If we're just going to go ahead and say on first down, every first down, we're going to run up the middle, yeah, Zeke's going to be done. If we use the pass to help set up the run, you're going to be able to make some yardage with it. But I'm going to say that Mike McCarthy's offense is not predicated on being a big run-heavy offense. This is part of the reason why they didn't get Derrick Henry or one of the other backs. That and Stephen Jones, he had to check the salary cap. Let's see, 50, 75, 85, 86, 87, 88. So he's like, yeah, well, we can't afford Derrick Henry. He's young, Mark. Are we talking, who's young? Zeke? Not for running back. Running backs are like dog years, okay? Dog years like 7 years for one. That's like a running back. Typically, a running back by year 4 is already going downhill. Just is. Dak is an 8-year starter. Yeah, and Dak is actually putting up some fantastic numbers. Now, this is going to be one of those ones that people are going to go, oh, here we go. They're coming up with some more bullshit. Well, let me go ahead and get cussed out. And since everybody says, you're just a Dak fan, you're not a Cowboy fan, you're always, touting that garbage-ass quarterback. Okay, I hear you. This one is kind of interesting because, now again, this is one of those ones where people pull statistics together and the numbers and things like that. And I don't know if this is actually that accurate. But here's the thing. When you come up with these different matrix out there, if every single one of the ones that you do, that you're somewhere towards the top of it, at some point you got to say that maybe you're not a garbage-ass quarterback and maybe you're a decent quarterback. So this is the measuring of clutch, okay? And, boy, y'all just keep popping up in here, don't you? Dak Prescott leads the league, and this is going by 3rd and 4th down. Using sports information SIS charting, I weighed the combined 22 different quarterback statistics on 3rd and 4th downs within 14-point games and any down in the fourth quarter within 10-point games, calculated to relatively clutch score of quarterbacks, and Dak Prescott actually led the top of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to win every time, but in percentage-wise, if it's 4th down, the guy does pretty good. And I could say Eagle fans might know that. You might understand that because I can remember 3rd and 30, Eagle fans. Y'all remember that? Do you remember that 3rd and 30? Because you look at that and say, shit, it's 3rd and 30, man. We going to punt. And here it is. Dak Prescott goes yard on you guys, on you Eagles, okay? Who we can't talk about your ring in 2017 because I can't talk about my 5 rings any longer, right? How clutch was Dak against Green Bay? Just asking for a friend. Oh, East Side Herald, you're so funny. Nobody was clutch against the Green Bay Packers in that game, which is why we've got Malik Hooker up here talking about Micah Parsons and accountability. And I'm okay with that. One last thing before we get out of here, since we were on the subject of Dak Prescott, and since we have devoted so much time to Malik Hooker. Oh, shit. I almost forgot. These are all the ones from this week's Super Chats. I got to pull a name for this one. Bam. You see that? Okay. Drew Pearson. It's autographed right there. And, over here, Emmett Smith's company. Why is it always backwards? Emmett Smith's company right there guarantees that is Drew Pearson's signature. Okay? So, our winner tonight, I'm going to grab one. Boom. Big Gib Gibson. Big Gib Gibson is our winner. Big Gib Gibson. Email me, cowboysmark94@gmail. That 70s fan. Let's just enjoy watching Dak and see what happens. Amen on that one. Because I think he's going to come out here and he's going to be on a mission. He is going to be, that's one thing you ain't got to worry about. He's going to do everything he can to be great this year. But let's get this from Malik Hooker. And this is interesting. Here you go. Stefan, I'm going to meet up with Mark while he's here for the game. Okay, that sounds like a winner. Well, I hope to do some meetups and stuff. 2 years ago when I was in Oxnard and Law and I were both there at the same time, we were going to, I think it was Red Robin, because it wasn't but maybe a mile or two from the practice fields. And we were meeting up there and doing live streams, and maybe we'll end up doing something like that again this year. Dak's a better passer. I need to drive. The drive to win the game. Hurts is better. Bro, sorry. You know what's funny, Philly D, is Hurts, I know everybody talks about his running ability and stuff, but he's not going to be able to do that forever. And last year showed you how fragile, playing football can be in the NFL. You're always one hit away from an injury. And you could definitely tell with him hurting the knee, even though the Eagles hit it and tried to act like it didn't exist, it hampered his game completely. And if he's going to have to be a pocket quarterback, when you think about him last year having 23 TDs and 15 interceptions, I want you to understand this. As everybody trashes Dak Prescott and gives other people passes, that season where he had abnormally high interceptions, he had the identical touchdown passes that Jalen Hurts had, 23, 15 interceptions. So as you keep bragging and saying how great Jalen Hurts is, Jalen Hurts on a great team had one good season. You can't look at it last year and say that that was a good season with all the turnovers he had. Yeah, he was the tush-push captain, okay? He was great at that. But sorry, y'all are overrating him, bro. Y'all are overrating him. But as always, and remember, Big Gib Gibson, you are our winner. Email me, cowboysmark94@gmail, so we can get you that plaque. And if he doesn't, then we'll end up giving it away next Friday. As always, good people, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you soon.
The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing.